Why is the existence of life on Earth considered a miracle? If you traveled back 250 million years, you'd witness a disaster that nearly ended everything. What happened to our planet? What triggered global volcanic eruptions? And how did only 5% of life survive to evolve into us today? Welcome to Midnight Cosmos. If our Snowball Earth episode felt cold, prepare for the most brutal night in Earth's history. An unprecedented, massive volcanic apocalypse. Yet, without this cataclysm, humanity might never have existed. Compress Earth's 4.5 billion years into a single 24-hour day. Near the very end, at 10:40 p.m. roughly 250 million years ago, life on Earth entered its darkest hour. With no warning, a devastating chain reaction began, erasing over 95% of all species. This was the Great Dying, the most complete biological reset in history. Paleontologist Roger Smith calls it Earth's most desperate moment. True hell mode. On land and in sea, life vanished instantly. No other disaster compares. Humans are here today because of the lucky 5% who held the line against extinction. But how did this apocalypse actually unfold? For half a century, it was a terrifying mystery until clues were found in South Africa's Karoo Basin. Today, it's a desert, but 250 million years ago, it was a lush paradise with rivers as grand as the Mississippi. Gentle dicynodonts roamed in herds, surrounded by the era's apex predator, the Gorgonopsid. This nightmare beast predated the T-Rex by 15 million years. Yet, not even these powerful creatures could escape their fate. Evidence of the Permian collapse lies deep within the Karoo's rock layers. Scientists uncovered Earth's 250 million-year-old diary. These sedimentary layers record time, with the oldest at the bottom. On one specific page, the truth of the end is hidden. Researchers noted a violent environmental shift in the top Permian layers. Lower gray-green rocks are full of fossils from a wet, thriving world. But above them, the stone turns blood red, the color of Hell's Gates. The climate turned hot and arid. Life was systematically erased. Fossils vanish here. Earth became a literal dead zone. Chillingly, this red death layer is found globally. An unknown force spiked temperatures by 11°C, suffocating nearly all life. At 10:40 p.m. on the cosmic clock, the climate spiraled. Scientists first looked to space, suspecting an asteroid like the one that killed the dinosaurs. An impact would hurl billions of tons of dust, blocking the sun and collapsing the food chain within decades. But the rocks tell a different story. Professor Paul Wignall's team spent a decade studying death layers in Greenland, collecting thousands of samples. Wignall calls this the greatest fossil crime scene, with Greenland holding the complete files. His findings officially debunked the asteroid theory. The extinction lasted 30,000 to 100,000 years, far too long for a single impact. The killer wasn't from above, it was from below. Geologist Mike Benton believed the answer lay deep within the Earth. The most likely culprit: volcanic eruptions. Russia's 1975 Tolbachik eruption was visible from space, but it was a candle compared to the inferno 250 million years ago. Beneath the Siberian tundra lies the Siberian Traps, a massive expanse of ancient lava. This type of activity no longer exists on Earth. It was the most extreme eruption ever. Millions of cubic kilometers of magma pooled under Siberia, bulging the crust like a balloon before exploding as a flood basalt eruption. Magma didn't just pop from a crater, it surged from thousands of kilometers of fissures, creating a sea of fire across millions of square miles. This was the true hand behind the extinction. The lava volume was enough to bury the entire United States under a mile-thick layer of molten rock, a literal ocean of consuming flames. The Siberian lava has cooled, but Earth's rage remains. Iceland provides a modern window into this geological fury. Mike Benton used historical eruptions to model the power of the ancient catastrophe. He studied Iceland's Mount Laki. In 1783, an 8-month eruption tore a 27 kilometers rift in the earth, shooting lava 1,200 meters high. Yet, compared to the Siberian Traps, Lackey was just a miniature model. Eruptions released three killers: local lava, regional ash, and global invisible gases. Lackey's sulfur dioxide mixed with moisture to create devastating acid rain. Historical records speak of acid burning eyes, causing respiratory agony and killing livestock. This was only the first half of the disaster. High-altitude sulfur formed aerosols, reflecting sunlight and tanking temperatures. For years, northern Europe froze. Crop failure followed, with the indirect death toll far exceeding the direct damage from acid rain. Now, scale that 8-month disaster up 10,000 times. Siberia erupted for 500,000 years, drowning 5 million square kilometers. Benton reconstructed the ancient chain reaction. First, lava consumed the land. Then, billions of tons of sulfur triggered acid rain and a global volcanic winter. Plunging temperatures killed plants. Dicynodonts starved in massive numbers as the food chain collapsed. 10% of species vanished in this first wave. But this was just the prologue. Another gas from Siberia was about to turn the script into a nightmare. When the clock struck 10:40 p.m., 251 million years ago, the roar of the Siberian Traps rewrote our planet's destiny forever. After the sulfur strike, a more subtle killer emerged: carbon dioxide. Paul Wignall found the proof in Greenland's fossil layers. Performing an autopsy on 251-million-year-old victims, he found that plants were the first to sound the alarm. Researchers found dramatic changes in plant composition and mutated spores, scars of a struggle against toxic air. The smoking gun was hidden on the surface of the leaves. Scientists analyzed plant fossils from 251 million years ago. They found a sharp drop in leaf stomata, a lethal sign that CO2 levels had skyrocketed and plants needed fewer pores to breathe. This discovery proves that atmospheric CO2 surged during the early Siberian eruptions. The resulting greenhouse effect reversed global cooling and pushed Earth to another extreme. Experts estimate CO2 levels were 20 times higher than today, sparking an unstoppable warming disaster. The continuous Siberian Trap eruptions raised global temperatures by at least 5 degrees Celsius. That might sound small, but it was enough to completely reset the planet's rainfall patterns. Rain stopped entirely at the equator, and the global climate system collapsed into chaos. In the Karoo Basin, paleontologist Roger Smith found brutal evidence of this shift. What was once a lush floodplain transformed into a scorched desert wasteland. A perfectly preserved dicynodont skull found just below the extinction layer tells the story. These cattle-sized herbivores met their end in a world of drought and starvation. Global warming claimed 35% of all species, but the nightmare was only halfway through. The domino effect triggered by the Siberian Traps was just beginning to fall. The next stop for this mass extinction was the ocean, covering 70% of the planet. While the land was already a graveyard, the blue heart of the planet seemed safe. The oceans maintained a strange and eerie calm for a short time. Marine life flourished with vibrant coral reefs and sharks in the shallows, but this final sanctuary was about to become a mass grave. Paul Wignall found ironclad evidence of death in Greenland's rock layers. He discovered jet-black rock samples, the hallmark of a severely oxygen-depleted environment. Even more terrifying were the golden crystals of pyrite, also known as fool's gold. This mineral only forms in environments completely devoid of oxygen. Its presence in these ancient layers confirms the oceans had lost the oxygen necessary for life. Yet oxygen loss alone cannot explain why 95% of marine species vanished. The answer lies in Green Lake, located in upstate New York. Geologist Lee Kump views this lake as a modern window into the Permian oceans. It looks normal on the surface, but hides a lethal secret in its depths. Green Lake is slowly dying as its stagnant lower waters lose all oxygen and host strange purple sulfur bacteria. Without oxygen, anaerobic bacteria thrive and produce hydrogen sulfide, a gas deadly to almost all life. This ordinary lake is mirroring the exact death process of the ancient oceans. Even worse, this was happening every ocean across the entire planet. The team tracked the toxic spread by following the depth of these purple bacteria. When these microbes swarm, the entire water column turns a haunting shade of pink. Researchers say the closer you get to this pink water, the stronger the smell of rotten eggs becomes. This is the lethal signature of hydrogen sulfide being released. Data shows that as oxygen levels fell, the pink toxic layer rose closer to the surface. The poison was creeping up from the abyss, devouring what little living space remained. Green Lake is a bloody mirror reflecting the horror of the global Permian extinction. Scientists believe a satellite view back then would have shown the blue oceans covered in deadly pink patches. It was a shroud of death woven by trillions of purple sulfur bacteria. Samples from around the world prove this wasn't local, but a global suffocation. Every clue points back to a single culprit. A global shift had caused the vast oceans to stop breathing. Normally, the ocean uses a precise system to circulate life-giving oxygen. Sun-warmed water at the equator flows to the poles, cools, and sinks to deliver oxygen to the deep. But 251 million years ago, the Siberian eruptions paralyzed this entire system. Global temperatures spiked 11 degrees, essentially placing the oceans in a massive incubator. It was like leaving a fish tank in the scorching sun, causing oxygen to vanish as currents stopped. Volcanic gases turned the oceans into a giant oxygen-free reactor where toxic bacteria ruled the stagnant water. Once the toxins reached a tipping point, the last safe zones in the shallows were consumed. The Siberian Traps had now completed 2 stages of its deadly trilogy. First came acid rain and volcanic winter, then soaring heat and food chain collapse, and finally ocean stagnation. Yet the ultimate killer of this mass extinction had not even arrived. In Iceland, Mike Benton struggled with one final puzzle. Why did temperatures jump another 11 degrees after the first wave? He realized volcanic CO2 wasn't enough to cause such a horrific spike, and suspected a far more aggressive greenhouse gas. The answer was found on the seafloor off the coast of Santa Barbara, California. Climatologist Ira Leifer detected an unusual gas leaking from the deep, methane. His team captured this mystery gas directly from vents in the cold, dark Pacific. The results were shocking, as methane is a literal climate time bomb. Molecule for molecule, methane's greenhouse effect is 25 times more powerful than CO2. But the Santa Barbara leaks were too small to explain the ancient 11-degree surge. Scientists looked toward a much deeper and more terrifying source. The real executioner was methane hydrate, a gas frozen under high pressure and low temperatures. Earth's seafloor still holds 30 trillion tons of this stuff, enough to trigger a global extinction if released. Leifer calls methane hydrate the prime suspect because of its massive volume and extreme instability. This frozen gas is so sensitive that a few degrees of warming can cause it to vaporize instantly. Scientists reconstructed the fatal chain reaction from 251 million years ago. Siberian eruptions caused the first 11 degrees of warming, which then heated the deep oceans and hit the first domino. Methane hydrates began to melt, sending billions of tons of gas surging into the atmosphere. This activated a self-reinforcing death loop where heat released more methane, which caused more heat. This feedback loop spiked global temperatures by another 11 degrees for a staggering total of 22. Life in this sudden furnace reached its endgame as the last vegetation died and herbivores collapsed. Earth's web of life was shredded, but in the ruins, evolution began a new chapter thanks to a small, overlooked creature. While gorgonopsids struggled on the surface, their prey, Phrynaxodon, was building a Noah's Ark underground. These small burrowers found a way to survive the apocalypse. Burrows provided stable temperatures and protection while the world above burned. They fed on underground tubers and roots, finding moisture and nutrients where others found only death. Roger Smith found a key clue in the Karoo Basin, an early Triassic burrow containing a Thrinaxodon fossil. This global disaster opened the door for these marginal species to take center stage. One branch of this family eventually evolved into the common ancestor of all mammals. Without their stubborn survival during the Great Dying, humans would not exist today. The disaster that nearly reset life to zero also planted the seeds for our own existence. We all carry the blood of that lucky 5% of survivors. 251 million years ago, that mass extinction paved the way for new life forms, including us. However, the script for this ancient disaster has never been truly retired. Scientists warn that eruptions on the scale of Mount Lackey happen every 20 million years. And a planet-resetting eruption like the Siberian Traps is destined to happen again. Current human technology would be powerless against such a natural force. But today, a more immediate threat is closing in. It doesn't come from nature, but from ourselves. For the first time, a dominant species is breaking the ecosystem's fragile balance. By burning fossil fuels, we may be repeating the ancient disaster. Data suggests we could emit up to 300 trillion tons of CO2 in the coming centuries. This rivals the total amount released by the Siberian Traps over thousands of years. What nature took millennia to emit, humanity is forcing into just 2 centuries. This man-made warming is pushing us toward the same abyss seen eons ago. Scientists warn that the same lethal mechanisms are restarting right now. Methane hydrates are still down there, and the temperature rise needed to trigger them is happening before our eyes. This time, humans are the ones pushing the button of destruction. The Great Dying created the opportunity for mammals to rise. Our ancestors were among those lucky survivors. Without them, humans would simply not exist. History is full of cruel ironies. We are now rewriting the very disaster script that allowed us to debut on this stage. Thankfully, global efforts to reduce emissions are finally showing some results. Every mass extinction brings new species. If the next big one comes, which creature do you think will survive? What will the next generation of life look like? Share your thoughts in the comments below.